Okay, language is the foundation of truth, and it is found in all things. So words are so important. They have way more power than we give them. If you are spiritual, I believe that the world was created with words. That in the beginning, God said something, and then it was. And the same principle can be applied to our life. The words that we choose to use create a process. They start the process, the foundation of assimilating similar things. Okay, so let me break that down. When I say something, this thing that existed just as an idea or something unmaterial in the world begins to materialize and begins to be a real thing. You can see this happen in your brain. So your brain is made up of over 100 billion cells called neurons. And when you start to verbally say things, your brain makes connections. These are called neural connections. And as it makes this neural connection, one neuron, so one cell, will connect to another one, and they become this system stuck together. So by speaking or by thinking, which is done in words, you start creating connections and start creating the structure that is your brain. So this is kind of incredibly cool. But something that I've realized, something that we have a problem with in this world, is that we are not being careful about the kind of language that we use. And I'm not just talking about swearing or using bad words or anything like that. Those are something to be concerned about as well. But we do not pay attention to the thoughts and to the things that we are saying on a daily basis, and if those are bringing us closer to our goals and our desired outcome or further away from them. So if when I put something into words, then it begins to materialize, that means that if I say, today is going to be a terrible day, then that terrible day will begin to materialize. My brain doesn't know the difference between truth and lies that you tell it. It just assumes that whatever you're telling it is true. Whatever you say to your brain, it goes, yes, sir, we will make it happen. We will do exactly what you're telling us to do. It searches for truth. So then it will look for evidence to confirm whatever you have said. So if I say it's going to be a terrible day, this is a concept called a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you study psychology, that's what they call it. Your brain will look for experiences and for evidence to support that it is going to be a terrible day. The same thing can happen when you say it's going to be a good day. Your brain will look for evidence to support that statement of it is going to be a good day. It looks for a way to materialize what you're saying. So one of the most effective things that we can do in life is learn how to harness the power of language. Learn how to control our words. Not only the words that we're speaking, but the words that are going on inside of our head and inside of our heart. If we can get these two in touch with each other, our head and our heart, then we can do incredible things. Absolutely incredible things. And you know what the connection between your head and your heart is? Your voice. Your voice connects your head and your heart. Interesting thing that's going on in the world right now, people's voices are being taken away. The voices are leaving. People are no longer speaking. We text. We look at computers. We aren't talking anymore. And I've started to even realize on social media, so on Facebook or on Instagram, even videos where people are speaking, a lot of times it will be muted and they'll just have the subtitles. People's voices are being taken away. There is power in opening up your voice. There is power in being able to speak your truth. It connects your head and your heart. And if we don't have that connection, if we're not using our voice, we are disconnected. Our head and our heart are not in alignment. They're not in tune. They're not working together. So we need to figure out how to use language to our advantage, how to help have words and thoughts that will lead us closer to our goals, that will bring positivity into our life, that will bring us closer to our higher power and to other people, that will cause a connection between head and heart and not a disconnection by cutting off that voice. That is not what we want to do. We want to have connection and strive for connection. So one of the things that I am going to teach you guys about are declarations. Now, a declaration is simply an I am statement. They are statements about qualities that you possess, what you are, what you inherently are, or ways that you behave. So statements about behavior. A lot of times in positive psychology, they talk about declarations as a way to increase your self-confidence and to love yourself more. But declarations are even more than that. Any time that you say, I am fill in the blank, it is a declaration. Whether it is positive or negative, intentional or unintentional. So for example, I was out to dinner a couple nights ago, and during the discussion, one of the ladies said, do you want to hear why I'm a bad mom? Oh my gosh, the other day my son didn't finish his project, and so I checked him out of school early. And in my head I thought, oh my gosh, she just declared, I am a bad mom. So if we're remembering what we just talked about with when I speak, or when I use words and language, then it brings the unmaterial, so just this stuff, this random matter, and then my brain will help it materialize by collecting evidence and experiences to support what I've said. Her saying, I am a bad mom, she just spoke that. So now her brain is going to take all of these infinite possibilities, materialize them into, I am a bad mom, and find evidence and experiences to support what she's saying. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. And that was just one tiny statement at dinner. Just a tiny little thing. You will start to notice, now that I've made you aware of it, in your conversations, see what declarations people are saying. People are declaring things 24/7. They're labeling themselves. They're choosing, and 9 times out of 10, they're choosing negative labels. They're choosing something negative. And it's not random. I know why this is happening. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Why we're labeling ourselves negatively. But declarations can be a positive way to fight back and to say, you know what? I choose to label myself as this. So we're going to choose labels for ourselves. Choose powerful words. Choose good words. And not just, you'll go and you'll hear a lot of different, if you go to seminars, self-help things, A lot of people will talk about doing these declarations in the morning and in the evening, doing it intentionally, and we will talk about that. But I also want you to notice your unintentional declarations. What are you saying on a regular basis? What is going on in your head? What's coming out of your mouth? If you can start to manipulate what's coming out of your mouth and change it to positive, once we can master the outside, then it's easy to master the inside. And then the inside affects the outside, right? Because what I'm thinking is causing things to materialize. It's creating the world around me. It's creating my experiences and my interpretation of experiences. Okay. Cool stuff. Super, super cool. So cool. What I'm thinking and what I'm saying creates what happens around me. And then that in turn will affect me. So this goes back to that self-fulfilling prophecy. I do really well with diagrams, so I'm just going to show you guys what a self-fulfilling prophecy is, and then we'll come back to these I am statements, declarations. What are we going to label ourselves as? What do we choose our labels to be? So another way of thinking of that materializing thing, if that wasn't quite clear. Our thoughts. Remember this theme of words? So our thoughts lead to emotions. If I think, so I'll use my friend as an example, I'm a bad mom. How will I feel? Am I going to feel very motivated to try and do play groups or be with my kids or be happy? I'm going to start feeling down on myself. I may lose motivation, lose confidence, lose patience because I feel like a bad mom. That hurts. That cuts deep. Well, then these emotions are going to lead to actions. Do you agree? What I think and how I feel will affect how I act. And then my actions will affect my results. And then those results will feed back into my thoughts. So we start with the inside world. Inside, inside. And then it comes outside. Outside. And leads back in. Goes back in. So another example, in case that mom one didn't make sense. When I used to teach this in schools, I would talk about this with depression and suicide. And how what we think affects us greatly. So let's say I'm going to try out for a basketball team. And I think, I'm a terrible basketball player. I'm so bad. I can't make any shots that I take. How am I going to feel going into that tryout? Really confident? Like, yeah, I'm the best one out here. No, man, I probably won't make the team. I'm so bad. I'm such a bad player. I'm never going to make it. Well then, how am I going to do on my tryout? Probably not very good. I feel like a bad player. I miss one shot and I'm like, oh, I've blown the whole thing. I knew this would happen. I knew it. Then when I don't make the team, what am I going to think? I'm a bad basketball player. I'm a terrible basketball player. When people say, oh, I knew this would happen. I had a feeling this would happen. Are you guys seeing this? I knew this would happen. This is what I thought. This is the thought. This is the declaration that I sent out into the world that my brain said, materialize that thought. Make it happen. Now, this isn't an automatic process, right? We live in a world that is very instant. Everything is instant gratification. thoughts do not happen instantly, but you can bet that they do come true. They do. So when people say, oh, I thought this would happen, I knew this would happen, or I felt like this would happen, do you see how they're starting to sabotage themselves? Their brain is getting in their way. Now the good news is the same thing is true on the opposite side. We can do it to help benefit us. But it takes some self-mastery. It takes some introspection. It takes some honesty and evaluation. And you got to be really conscious of it. Really, really conscious. I am constantly evaluating the words that come out of my mouth and the words that live inside my head to try and change them so that they can create the kind of world and the kind of life that I would like to live in. I want to have several $100 million and then say, I knew this would happen. That's the kind of thing that I want to know is going to happen. I want to be incredibly successful and happy. And I want to say, when I get there, I just had a feeling that this would happen. That's what I want to come true. That's what I want to create. That would be amazing. That's what I want to see. So I am very conscious of what I'm saying and what I'm thinking about myself and about others so that this can happen. Okay, so one of the ways that we can do this is paying attention to the words that we are saying on a daily basis. So let me write that down. So I'm going to say conscious speech. Conscious speech. And then you can work on conscious thoughts. You choose what kind of thoughts you think. You do, it's a choice. When I'm playing the victim, so this week, I told you a lot of crazy things happened. It was a bad week. It was tough. Not necessarily a week that I would willingly want to repeat, unless I learned everything that I did. Being able to learn everything and gaining that experience was 100% worth it. It was incredible. But as I went through this week, there were several times that I thought, I just feel like the world is out to get me. Everyone's picking on me. It's not my fault that anything's going wrong. Just everything's against me. And I was a victim. I was like way in victim mode. And in that moment, I had a choice. I can choose to keep being the victim and push all the responsibility away, or I can own it and I can say, I am in charge of how I respond. I am in charge of what kind of week I have. I am in charge of choosing what thoughts and what outcome will come from all of this. I may not be able to choose everything that happens. It's kind of like that quote. I've heard this phrased a lot of different ways. And I could not tell you who said it, but whoever did was amazing. But that you can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You can choose which way the wind takes you. If we're on a sailboat, if we have that power, we may not be able to choose the wind, but we can choose where we go with it. So your thoughts, they're a choice. One of the other ways is through declarations. Now, when I made my first set of declarations, we make them all day long, but I would like to challenge you to have an intentional set of declarations and say them daily. I say mine in the morning and at night. I have one set that I repeat from memory every single morning. It's always the same declarations, so that I can really ingrain those in my mind, and so that I can call upon them when I am in those tough moments, when I am having a hard time. So one of the declarations that helps me the most is, I embrace discomfort because I'm a creator. So I used that one a lot this week when I was in uncomfortable situations and just not super happy, just having kind of a hard time. I would say to myself, you know what? I embrace this discomfort. This is not a bad discomfort. I love it because I'm a creator. And I choose to create the kind of life that I will have. And this discomfort means I'm growing. You cannot grow in your comfort zone. You cannot grow in your comfort zone. If you remember when you were young and when you grew, there were growing pains. That's how life works. When you are growing, it can be uncomfortable. It can be a little bit painful. We need to learn how to grow, how to change, and embrace that discomfort as we create whatever's coming for us. So whenever I'm a little bit uncomfortable, I try to act excited because I know that I'm growing. I'm doing something big. I'm doing something new. And that is powerful. So declarations, one of the best ways to come up with your own list of declarations is write down the top 5 negative statements that you hear on a regular basis. Then, if you have like a piece of paper, on one half write down the top 5 negative statements, and then on the other half write down the opposite. So write down what the opposite would be, plus an extra positive. So for example, if one of your negative statements is, I am ugly, write down, I am ugly. And then over here, opposite of ugly is pretty, plus 1, and enough. And then you're going to repeat that one. I am pretty and enough. You're going to repeat it in the morning and at night, 2 times a day. Now you're going to do this for 5 different statements. Don't try and get too many. Your brain can really only remember about 9 different pieces of information at a time. So don't overwhelm yourself. I think 5 to 7 declarations is perfect. Then you can remember them. Now, when you're saying them, first you're going to come up with the list. You can either do it with negative statements, or if you have an idea of what you want to be, what qualities you would like to have, then you can use that as well. So if you're like, you know what, I don't necessarily think that I am a weak person, but I want to be known as a strong person, and I want to be a strong person, then make that a declaration. I am strong and determined. Okay? So, step 1, come up with your declarations. I'm going to post a list of some sample declarations that you can glean from. I also have an entire guide to declarations on my website that you can download for free. So I encourage you to go check that out. It's just a PDF, couple pages where you can learn more about declarations because they're so powerful. When you are saying them, you need to have some good body language because your body is speaking just as much as your mouth. We're going to talk about that in an upcoming week. But your body is speaking just as much as your mouth. If I say, I love everything about myself, what's my body doing? It's saying no. No, I don't. No, I don't. What if I hold my head still but the rest of me squirms? I love everything about myself. Did that seem convincing? Or is it more convincing when I say, I love everything about myself? Or, I love everything about myself. Or, I love everything about myself. These are more convincing, right? You want a power pose. So as you're saying your declarations, choose a power pose. Choose something powerful. I like to do things that help me remember my declarations. So, for example, the one that I used with discomfort. I embrace discomfort, so I'm open to it. It's like a big hug. Like if discomfort was walking toward me as a person, I would open up my arms and say, hi discomfort, how are you? And then to me, a creator is like opening up, and it's huge, and it's reaching upward and outward. So I embrace discomfort because I'm a creator. That's something that helps me remember it. I had another one that a few months ago. I rotate through my declarations. Once I start to believe them and I've internalized them, I choose a new one. But I had one that was, I connect deeply with myself, others, and the Lord. So I'm using my body language to support my declarations. So I'm going to start writing down some of these tips, some ways to make declarations work for you. Again, choose those top 5 negative statements, opposite +1, or choose positive attributes that you would like to have that you may not necessarily have right this second. So you want to make sure that your body language is agreeing with your regular language, with what's coming out of your mouth. You're going to say them 2 times daily. Guys, the things I'm teaching you in this class, they're super, super helpful if you do them. And if you do them on a regular basis. If you don't do it, then it's not going to benefit you as much. It's not going to be as helpful. So, make it a regular practice, and then they start working. If you just say declarations every once in a while, yeah, you'll get some benefit, but it won't be as big as if you were to say them every single day. Okay? So 2 times a day. Another thing, you want to add emotion. So you can do this with music, with your tone, with the volume, with location. If you look in the mirror, these are all powerful. Music. I love to do them with epic music, so I'll turn on some like amazing superhero soundtrack, and then I will say, I add value to other people's lives. I embrace discomfort because I'm a creator. I have a strong, capable mind of steel that cannot be penetrated by negativity. And I get those really like feisty things. Sometimes I turn on very soft, soothing music, and I really feel them. I add value to other people's lives. And I'll look in the mirror and I'll make eye contact with myself, and I will say, you are beautiful. You are an incredible mentor. You are such an incredible presenter. That adds emotion. That is really, really big. Your tone, your volume. Going out into nature can really, really give these declarations a level up. A couple other things that you can do. And I know we're getting close on that time there. I'm going to make sure that this video is still going. Okay, we're still good. So we'll just finish up these last couple other things that you can do. This one's really fun. Make a music video of your declarations. So the way that I did this, I chose a day that I was feeling good. was feeling good about how I felt, how I looked. And I went out to a really pretty place in nature, and I just took my phone and I just recorded myself silently for a couple of minutes. And then later on, I went and put my declarations to that. So I had myself saying them. Now when I'm feeling down, I can watch that video and I see myself with this music and with me talking, and it's powerful. So I'm going to post that to the page. That's an opportunity assignment. Okay, so not only having declarations, making your own music video to go with them. Another way that you can help declarations work for you. Now again, declarations, that's an opportunity assignment in and of itself. Finding your declarations. If I can make a suggestion of where to start, come up with your set of declarations this week and start doing them daily. Put it into your practice. If you feel uncomfortable doing it where other people might hear you, then try doing it in the car where you're alone. Do them in the shower. Do them where other people aren't around so that you can be honest and play full out. If you feel comfortable doing it in front of other people, do it. That's amazing. That's powerful as well. Your brain really likes evidence. It likes to work off of evidence and find things to support what it thinks and what it says. So start keeping track of people that say your declarations. So journal, basically journal compliments. I carry just a little notebook around with me every single day, like this. And as I get thoughts throughout the day, I jot them down and I just write, oh yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, let's include that too. That was really great. Or if somebody says something nice to me, or if I think of something I need to do, carrying a notebook with you and keeping track of the good things that people say about you or to you is very powerful. Then when you're feeling bad or you're having a down day, you have an entire notebook full of evidence of how amazing you are, what an incredible person you are. And it shows your brain that those declarations that you're saying are true, that everything that's coming out of your mouth is for real, that other people are noticing it too. It can also give you some declarations when other people tell you, wow, you're so brave. You're like, I don't feel brave, but they just said it. So maybe that can be one of my declarations. Yes, I am brave. I am brave. I am brave. And you can play with that tone, play with that volume, have a lot of fun with that. Have a lot of fun. Okay, let me just make sure that I haven't missed anything in here. I don't think so. Oh, one more. Okay. So declarations are basically labels that we put on ourselves, or power statements, or ways that we choose to live our lives, and then try to live through them. Two more things. Sorry, another one came. One other thing, one person that I was mentoring actually came up with this, so he gets credit for it. But he said, I am going to write about previous experiences where that has been true. So, for example, he had one that said, I have plenty of money. Do any of you guys ever worry about money? It's a good one. It's a good declaration to have. And he said, I'm going to look for times in my life when I had plenty of money to prove to my brain that I do, that it's possible, that it has happened, and that I've done it before. So that is a really, really powerful way. Another thing that you can do, so beyond declarations with an S, I want you guys to choose a label. I want you to label yourself. Choose a power word. So I did this years and years ago, before I knew what declarations were, before I had any idea what they could do for me. Years and years ago, I decided that my power word was strong. And I am strong. And no matter what happens or what I face or what I'm challenged with, I'm okay because I'm strong. And I can face that and I can get through that. If you are kind or compassionate, choose a word that you want to be the anchor and the leader and the defining word of your life. If you choose to do this as your opportunity assignment, share it with us on the Facebook page. Any opportunity assignment that you do, please share it with us so that we can see what you're doing, hear about your success, hear about your experiences. Now, I will say the first time that I did declarations, it was not comfortable. When I started doing declarations, I was at a very different place as far as my relationship with myself, and I did not like who I was. I didn't like anything about me. And I remember one of my first declarations was that I add value to other people's lives. And I said it and I started crying. And I thought, no, I don't. I can't say that. It's not true. Guys, you can say it. You can say it. And then your brain will make it come true. One of the coolest examples of a declaration is the Declaration of Independence. When the founding fathers wrote the Declaration of Independence and signed it and sent it over to England, they weren't independent. They still had an entire war to figure out how to be their own country. But they declared it and then it materialized. And the same thing can happen for you. Declarations have real power. Get a set, get them into your life. Start practicing some of these helpful things and everything that I wrote before we erased this as well. Come back to this often. Keep leveling up your declarations. They should never be boring. It has to have that emotion so that it can really sink deep, right? The words, language, our voice is the connection between our head and our heart. Words belong more in our head. What comes from your heart? The emotion. If you can connect those two, power. Lots and lots of power. Okay, so go get your declarations. Get them done. I'm going to shut off this video, start a new one. So I'll see you in just a couple minutes.